and welcome to Miele Cooks. My name is Vicki Robb, and today I'm at the Miele Experience Center in Princeton, New Jersey. I'm going to show you how to make one of my family's favorite weeknight meals, beef lo mein. It's super fast and easy, and you can keep all of these ingredients in your pantry. Let's go over our ingredients for today. We're going to start with some lo mein noodles. You can find them at your regular grocery store. They're really not difficult to find. It's a nice, flat, wide noodle, perfect length. And then we're going to talk about our meat. So I'm using a flank steak. I like flank steak because it cooks really fast. It has a nice texture, especially if you slice it when it's slightly frozen. So I put my whole steak in the freezer for 20 minutes before I sliced it, and then I cut it across the grain into these really thin slices. If you don't want to use beef, you can also use chicken. I've made it with chicken also, but then one ingredient swap would be our bouillon, which I can tell you about later. We're going to use diced carrots and some broccoli florets. But the first thing I want to do is get my bouillon ready to use. So I have a half a cup of water, and I have 1 full tablespoon of Better Than Bouillon. I love the taste of this. It's super salty. If you don't want to use Better Than Bouillon, you can use a half a cup of beef stock. So I'm going to go ahead and go microwave this water in our speed oven, and then we'll get started with the rest of the cooking. This is a really good multitasker recipe if you're somebody that has an easy time multitasking. I've started my water to cook my lo mein noodles. Use a nice big pot if you have a stock pot. I'm also going to start preheating my pan on my cooktop. This is about a 12-inch skillet. I want plenty of room, not only to cook the beef and the vegetables, but we're going to be putting the noodles in later. So make sure you have a nice big pan. So I've boiled my water in the speed oven, and I'm going to add my Better Than Bouillon. Just going to give it a stir. It'll take a few minutes to dissolve, so you want to do that pretty early in your steps here. And then I add a tablespoon of brown sugar. I also want to let that really dissolve. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Remember, I said this is a multitasking recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and add my noodles. My water's at a nice low boil. I'm going to turn it down to about a 6. That's usually pretty good with induction. I don't just dump these all in a big clump. They have a tendency to stick. So it seems a little funny, but I always try to just fan them out in the water. And then I'm going to use my wooden spoon here. I'm going to give it a little stir. And they take about 4 minutes to cook. So while that's going, I gotta turn my pan down here. Those, we're gonna drain them, and then they can kind of set aside. So let's get our pan ready. I'm using a canola oil. I don't want a really flavorful oil. I want something mild tasting, and just add a little bit of canola, and we're gonna start with our beef. It's quite a bit. This is about 1.5 pounds, so we want to do it in batches. So you got that nice sizzle. I'm gonna do it in a single layer. I'm just gonna keep stirring it, make sure all the sides are cooked. And I'm going to do these 2 batches, maybe 3, and then we'll come back and add in our veggies. Okay, so I've drained the pasta, the lo mein. I'm gonna add a little bit of canola oil because we are gonna let it sit aside for a little bit, and I don't want it to get sticky. Okay, so then we go back to our beef. Now it's just about done, so I'm gonna use tongs for this part because I wanna leave all those flavorful drippings in the pan, and then I'm gonna add my vegetables. Now is where we're really gonna start building some of those flavors. We had some soy sauce marinating on the flank steak. So now actually next I'm gonna add a little bit of sesame oil, such a great flavor. And I'm gonna add some soy sauce. Let's add our broccoli first. It's bigger florets, so it's gonna take a little bit longer than my carrots. So I'm gonna put it up to a boost to really borrow some power from another burner and get it up to a boil. There it goes. If you have the Combi-Steam oven at home, you could steam the broccoli for 2 minutes along with the carrots and then just toss them in at the end. It would take a little bit less time on the cooktop. So what I'm doing now, I'm just making sure all those florets are absorbing that liquid so they get nice and flavorful and cook all the way through. So let's add our carrots. That's about two medium-sized carrots I used. You can add more if you like. Keep it at a nice high temp. And then I'm gonna add some garlic. I like adding the garlic at the end because I don't want it to burn and I want it to really flavor the broth that I'm using. So let's turn it down to about an 8. So now here's another part where it's up to you what you want to do. If you want a thicker sauce, you could use a half a tablespoon of cornstarch. I like it thick. My kids don't, so sometimes I go back and forth depending on my mood that day of the week. So let's add it. So I have my Better Than Bouillon and my brown sugar. I'm gonna add that cornstarch. Just give it a quick stir. I'm gonna add that sauce into my veggies. Let me get it back up to a boil again. Let that sauce thicken a little bit. And then we can add our beef back in. So I told you if you want to use chicken, you can. The one swap I would make on the ingredients is to use either a chicken stock or the Better Than Bouillon chicken flavor rather than the beef. It'll have a slightly different color, but it goes nicely if you're using chicken breast. So mix it all together. So colorful. I'm wishing right now that my kids did like broccoli. I could add this in every week. I steam my broccoli on the side and then I just add it to my plate. Okay, the sauce is really starting to thicken up nicely. So it's time to add in some noodles. So let's turn down the heat a little. Grab our noodles here. You really want them also to get into the sauce. Whoop. Sometimes I leave some on the side so that when I'm making everybody's plates, I could put some plain noodles on the bottom of the bowl and then put the saucy noodles with the beef on top. And there it is. Dinner is done. You could just plate it now. Serve it with a little bit of soy sauce on the side if somebody needs a little extra sauce. But again, one of my family favorites. So from Miele to you, I hope you will try this recipe and enjoy it with your family.